Education has been largely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic around the world. Governments and school administrators have found ways to bridge the gap, mainly using technology. But here in Ghana, this solution has also magnified the inequalities that exist in many parts of the country. The United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, is urging stakeholders in the education sector to narrow the digital divide in terms of connectivity, infrastructure, and the ability to engage with technology. We'll bring you a playback of the situation in Pandai shortly, but first, a look at the over 1 million children who have dropped out of school, and we have put together this research by the Joy Research Desk. And so the data suggests that out-of-school population is estimated at, we have 610,000, 283,000 there, and 138. The yellow one represents those who have dropped out of primary school. This there represents lower secondary, and over here you have the upper secondary statistics. Now, when you go further, it breaks it down to male and female, and so the sexes. When you come to the upper secondary, you're looking at 46 males, 54 females, lower secondary 52, 48 females, primary 55, and 45 females. So that is, and of course, the source is the Ghana Education Service sheet. When you come to upper secondary, you have 41, 59 for females, 35 for lower secondary males, and then 65 for the females. Primary, 25 here, and 75 for the females. And of course, you can look at other varieties. You can look at the poorest in terms of the figures that are dropping. You have 26 here for the upper secondary. You have 22 for secondary, 19 for middle, 20, and then 13. And you have the same. You have similar figures also for the lower secondary, 46, 20, 17, 10, and 7. And for the primary, you have a good number, 58, 19, and then 12, as well as 7 and 3. And we are picking this data from the Ghana Education Service fact sheet for 2020. That research was put together by the Joy Research Desk. Now, my colleague Jojo Kobna in 2018 captured the rural Ghana situation through the eyes of children in Pandai, a situation that still exists. Watch this.
I take a seat at Giradogo Presby School in the Pandai district of the northern region. My aim is to find out how students in JHS2 were coping with information communication technology lessons without computers. Today's lesson is how to create a folder.
To create a folder, before you can able to create a folder,
pardon the spelling error and concentrate on what the teacher has to say about how to create a folder.
Create a folder. Before you can able to create a folder, when you on your boot on your computer, we have some place you click. You click and you see the place folder. And when you click, the folder will, the empty folder will appear. And then you open it and put all your documents inside.
I am confused about what the teacher is saying, so I intervened.
Do you know what a folder is? Please no. Who knows what a folder is?
Folder is a symbol where you keep or keep your what? Documents inside for the future use.
What did your teacher say?
He said that a folder is where you keep your document for future use.
Folder is a kind of storage device which where the documents are kept.
A folder is a form of distance. It's a form of picture when you keep your distance, your things inside. Example like information or documents. There.
scan of a computer when file or data input.
What is happening here is sad, perhaps tragic. This teacher has been employed under the National Youth Employment Program. He is expected to impart knowledge to the children. Unfortunately, the children don't understand the lessons, but the teacher insists they are doing very well.
Yes, they understand.
Did they tell you they understand? Does it show that they understand?
Yeah, the reason why I'm sure that they understand is that when I contest them class tests or class exercise, they'll perform.
Now the topic changes to what is a scanner.
Scanner is a program inside the what? Computer. It's a program, and we store inside the what? Computer. And we use to scan pictures or what? Our own. Scan is to you to when you have the information, your documents, and you want the information to be inside the what? Computer, and or send it to different areas or offices. You scan it inside your computer before you transfer it.
It is getting very ridiculous here. The circuit supervisor from Pandai Education Office is compelled to rescue the teacher.
Scan means converting the hard picture in its electronic form. You have scanned it, and it can now be sent to anywhere. Either put in your folder, saved in your computer, or even sent to somebody.
The teacher admits that it is indeed difficult to teach without a computer.
The reason why they don't know the scanner, actually, the scanner, they're supposed to see it physical, but because of we don't have it here.
The Ministry of Education ICT in Education policy document signed by the then Minister Alex Tateño stated that the policy's main goal is to enable graduates from Ghanaian institutions, formal and informal, to confidently and creatively use ICT tools and resources to develop requisite skills and knowledge needed to be active participants in the global knowledge economy by 2015. But students of Jaradogo Presby JHS are yet to touch a computer. It is important for government to ensure equitable distribution of ICT education resources if truly it wants citizens to be computer literate, as well stated in the ICT education policy. Jojo Kobna, Joy News.
Folder is a symbol where you keep or keep your what? Documents inside for the future use.
Now, we have an educationist and the founding dean of the College of Education at the University of Ghana, Professor Jonathan Fletcher, joining us for more on this, discussion on literacy. Prof, how does this literacy challenge play out, first of all, at the university level, where ordinarily students should be performing at an optimum?
About the same thing.
Yes.
Prof, you may have to unmute your device so we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, I can hear you now.
As I said, I would like to take the opportunity to say hi to your cherished viewers. Yes, I've followed the narrative, and it seems to me that there's a lot that we need to do in order to get there, so to speak. Well, at the university level, obviously things are different because obviously we have the necessary infrastructure and we have the expertise, and students are keen to learn using computers. So that is not a problem at the university level. I think the key thing that we are looking at here is how to ensure that there is equitable access to technology, particularly at the pre-tertiary level. I think that's where the problem is.
And it's interesting, this year the COVID-19 pandemic has obviously exposed the lapses that we have in our education system, and UNESCO is urging stakeholders in the education sector to focus on narrowing the digital divide. You at the University of Ghana deployed a lot of technology in reaching your students, but what has been your assessment of how bad the situation is countrywide?
Well, countrywide, I mean, just as I said in my opening statement, that we do not have difficulties or challenges in the university. I don't think it's only in our university. I'm sure at the tertiary education level, various institutions are doing their utmost best to make sure that they get people or students to learn, virtually, as it were. And so the issue that we always have to consider is, for me, is the access to these technologies. Not every student that will have access that easily. And in that sense, there are a number of things that have been put in place to ensure that students who cannot get easy access have the opportunity to do so. But again, as I said, at the university level, it's not very difficult because on campus, for example, students who do not have the devices have the opportunity to go to various ITC centers on campus and use the devices. So as I keep saying, the issue that we're talking about is as a nationwide problem will be outside the tertiary institutions. I think the main difficulty or the main challenge we have are getting, or challenges that we have are getting the facilities or the infrastructure to various educational institutions, especially the pre-tertiary institution, to make sure that students have easy access to technology one way or the other. That is the challenge.
Very well.
And that's what we need to look at.
Prof, kindly hold the line for me. We're joined by the Deputy Minister of Education, Reverend Intim Fojo. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. Now, we pulled out some statistics from the Ghana Education Service that suggests that over 1 million children drop out of school. There have been a number of factors attributed to this, but obviously the challenges they encounter at the school level is also to blame. The challenges we have with literacy is obvious. The outcomes are not desirable. What is government doing to tackle this?
Good evening, and thank you very much. Good evening to Prof as well and to our viewers. Today is World Literacy Day, and just as it's a global concern, literacy is a global concern. Reports from World Bank indicate that globally, 53% of children at age 10 are not able to read for understanding. And that is in all low-income countries, including Ghana. And even in poorer countries, it is 83%. This data was pulled out before COVID. So with the advent of COVID and with global learning losses, if this test or this research was conducted today, I believe that the figures will even go up. But the concern for us as a country and as a ministry is to be able to address our literacy challenges, is to be able to address our learning poverty, which is the 33% of our children at the age of 10 not being able to read. Language is very essential in education of every child. Whatever subject that a child will be taught, whether social studies, whether mathematics, whether technical skills, whatsoever it is going to be taught in a language. And in our country, English is the language of instruction. So it's important that at the very, very basics, at the very early grade, we have interventions to tackle literacy. And that is why, in conjunction with the Ministry of Education and GES, in conjunction with USID Learning, we have undertaken a number of phonics-based interventions. One of it is early grade reading program, which targeted initially 7,200 schools to ensure that, as the language policy of the country is, at the early grades between KG2 to P3, they are to be taught essentially in the Ghanaian language. And then as they get to P4, we transition into English. But for you to have the transition done effectively, you need to have a very solid foundation already in the local language.
Okay.
And so there've been a lot of interventions, learning and teaching materials have been done, training done for that intervention to be that has been already delivered for 11 local languages. But now we are going into transition to English language.
Okay.
And as we are preparing our early grades to be proficient in English and to improve their reading performance, we have to pay attention to their phonics, both in the local language and English language that they are eventually going to be transitioning to.
But
so
Reverend,
what we have done, a program which we even launched yesterday, which is a sequel to early grade learning program, which is also a combination of that and our national reading radio program and transition to English, which we've combined the success stories and the lessons from that impactful program and taken it further. And we have themed it transition to English plus. So if I'm to give you the step-by-step intervention, we are targeting for 5,425 schools, and we're going to be giving training to teachers at the phonics-based approach. So the first step we do is phonological awareness, to be able to train our teachers to teach the early grades how letters should be sounded. Then we move on to phonics, identifying letters in the sound. Then you move on to how to blend letters to form a syllable.
Okay.
So eventually we progress to a point where the child will be able to build vocabulary and even learn new words. So the progression here will be from letters to words to sentences. Then the child gets proficient in reading. Then we get to fluency. Then at that point, you can get the child to be reading effectively supplementary readers. So that is the intervention we are putting in place to ensure that before the child gets to age 10, averagely around primary 4, they should have very good reading proficiency, English proficiency, and so as at this stage,
very well.
we're
Reverend, just before we go on this one, so that is to tackle literacy. But this year, as we celebrate World Literacy Day, the UNESCO is asking government and various stakeholders to narrow the digital divide, which has to do with essentially access to technology to aid in education. What is government's plan in that regard?
There's tremendous efforts in that regard. Ministry of Education has, at the outset, even reformed the curriculum, particularly at the colleges of education. As we speak, if you visit any college of education, our trainees have ICT as a compulsory course that they take. So these are the teachers that are going to be teaching our students.
Okay.
Having done so, we just last week launched One Teacher, One Laptop. These are all promoting digital literacy in an effort to promote digital literacy. We have an institution, an agency called SENDLOS, which is one of the very important agencies under the Ministry of Education that is mandated to ensure that we have effective platforms and digital tools available for learning.
Okay.
A number of interventions were even undertaken at the time when COVID hit. We have iBox, which is a digital platform that can even be accessed for learning offline. A number of other, we have the National Radio program, we have the National Television program, and many other digital interventions.
Okay, so all of these aimed at addressing and bridging the gap. Thank you very much, Reverend, for joining us here on Joy News Prime. Professor Fletcher, your reaction to the measures outlined by the Minister, would this make a difference for you?
Thanks very much. Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad the Minister mentioned SENDLOS. A number of things are being done, put in place to make sure that students are able to learn in spite of the COVID situation. Of course, we are a big country, and you cannot get everybody getting access to technology at the same time. What we need to do is maybe to work on how we can make sure that people get equitable access to technology. But it's right, true. It's true that a lot of interventions have been put in place to ensure that learning takes place
And unfortunately, we lost Professor Jonathan Fletcher there, but he made the point that government needs to step up, and these are measures that will work if we pay closer attention to it. That's Professor Jonathan Fletcher, the founding dean of the College of Education at the University of Ghana.